consequential thing our Congress can do, other than declaring war. So after great consideration, I say 45 not only should be impeached, but he must be impeached if America's democracy is to remain intact. Why? Because the facts are not in doubt. Indeed, 45's allies in the media and Congress have largely given up disputing them. 45 held up congressionally directed taxpayer funding to strengthen Ukraine's military against Russia until the new Ukrainian president agreed to do what 45 called a favor, announced that Ukraine was investigating 45's most likely opponent in the 2020 election, Joe Biden, and his son, was involved with the Ukrainian gas company. 45 apparently thought that just the announcement of such an investigation would kill Biden's campaign in its crib. Generally speaking, I believe squatters should be elected and removed by the voters at the polls, but when I hear 45 defenders scream, impeachment subverts the will of the people, I say, really? What the hell do you think Trump was doing 45 was doing in Ukraine? He was subverting the will of the people by scheming to use our tax dollars to knock out his most feared opponent in the coming election, rather than trust their voters to do just that. The only reason the plot was aborted was that a whistleblower from the intelligence community drew attention to the squatter's plan, forcing him to release the money to Ukraine moments before his shakedown exploded in the public view. 45 was like a bank robber with a gun to a teller's head who suddenly heard the police sirens approaching and ran off before he could stash the money in his bag. So while the founders wanted to reserve removal of a squatter for elections by the people, they understood that there could be situations where removing a squatter might be necessary to protect and preserve our very frame for holding free and fair elections. That framework is the Constitution and the rule of law, and this is one of those situations. If we say, as Republicans do, that what 45 did is not an impeachable offense, we are telling ourselves and every future squatter that, in direct contradiction of what the founders wrote in the Congress, it is okay to basically lie, steal, cheat, and break the law, basically is what they're saying. Can you imagine how much money candidates could raise from Saudi Arabia trying to tilt a future election their way, or how many cyber warriors they could enlist from Russia or Iran to create fake news, suppressing voting, or spur outraged integrity of our elections? Would be shattered, and we would never again have a legitimate squatter. A squatter who, whether or not you liked him or her, was at least seen as legitimately elected. That would be a prescription for permanent political chaos, as no future squatter authority would be respected if they were elected on the basis of foreign interference. But that is what Republicans are courting by blindly defending 45's indefensive enlistment of Ukraine's help to take down Biden, and by echoing 45's conspiracy theory originated by Russian agents that it was Ukraine that hacked the Democratic National Committee's emails in 2016, not Russia. They also argue that the DNC server was shipped off to Ukraine before the FBI could look at it. This is right out of the Twilight Zone. Folks, can you imagine what Russia's President Putin is saying to himself today? I can't believe my luck. I not only got 45 to parrot my conspiracy theories, I got his whole party to believe it, and for free. Whoever thought Americans would so easily sell out their own constitution for one Satan spawn? My imaginary god. I have Russian lawmakers in my own parliament who quit before doing that, but it proves my point. America is no different from Russia, so spare me the fucking lectures. If Congress were to do what Republicans demand, forego impeaching the squatter for enlisting a foreign power to get him elected after he refused to hand over any of the documents that Congress had requested, and he had blocked all of his key aides who knew what happened from testifying, we will be saying that a squatter is that basically you're saying that basically the Republicans are saying that 45 is above the law and that he could fucking break it as much as he wants, and that's not the case. He is not above the law. We would be saying that we no longer have three co-equal branches of government. We would be saying that we no longer have a separation of power. We would be saying that our squatter is now a king, which basically the Founding Fathers did not want. If we do that, the America you studied in history class, the America you grew up knowing and loving, and the America that the rest of the world has so long admired as a beacon of democracy and justice, will be no more. Oh, how we will miss it when it's gone. At a time when virtually every Republican lawmaker and faux news have chosen to prostitute themselves for 45, I do see one glimmer of hope hiding in plain sight. As the Times reported last Saturday, incumbent squatters almost always benefit from a strong economy, and right now the job growth is robust, and average hourly earnings are up, but 45's poll numbers are not. Instead of enjoying anything close to overwhelming popularity because of the economy, 45's national approval rating has remained low, dropping about 2 points to 41 since the Ukraine story broke. 45 tweeted on Friday, adding, "Stock markets are up record numbers," which it's not. Yes, the economy. Yes, it's the economy. When you have a squatter who has not violated his oath to preserve and protect the Constitution, but if you read today's poll numbers alongside the economy numbers, it turns out that more than a few Americans are saying it's the Constitution, stupid. Unlike you, 45, we value some things more than money. We care about a squatter who does not lie 20 times a day, if not more. We care about having a squatter who does not demean his opponents and mock their physical appearance. We care about having a squatter who does not take the word of Russia over the U.S. or his own intelligence services, for that matter. We care about having a squatter who is not caught up in conspiracy theories, which he then makes everyone around him chase. We care about having a squatter who values our nonpartisan public servants. We care about having a squatter who wants to be who just wants to be president of but not just his base. And most of all, we care about having a squatter who takes seriously his oath to preserve and protect our Constitution, which something 45 hasn't done. Without that, we will end up one day morally and financially bankrupt. How many Americans will still feel that way on the election day remains to be seen, and will also depend on the Democrats' alternative. But for now, it's good to know that it's a significant number. Despite the 3 years of 45 squadancy, the country still has a civic pulse. Now, here's the thing with that. If 45 gets impeached, which more than likely would happen, and he gets removed, we're going to get stuck with that inbreeding redneck asshole that's Vice President Mike Pence, and Mike Pence is no better than 45.